Hello and welcome to the preview of Week 13, noting that Week 12 hasn't ended yet when we're recording this. We're going to move on and we're going to try to pretend like we can predict what's going to happen in Week 13. Unusually, we're not recording this after any games have been played, so Fui can't pretend to be a savant that's going to predict the results of a game that's already actually happened. On that note, we'll of course throw to Mr. Fui, who's no doubt desperately trying to bring up the schedule on his tablet, mobile phone.
Can you hear my clicking, can you?
Fuck. Oh, that's Week 3. Shit.
No, that's something else, mate.
Okay, you're moving right along from Fui's Pornhub focus. Blackie, the Joe Burrow-less Bengals travel to Miami. Do they trot 2 out, or does Fitzmagic get another game?
Sorry, I was on mute. I'd say they'll roll with Fitz. I think things looked okay, albeit against the Jets, and they're right in the thick of playoffs. I mean, it'll probably come down to who looks better in training, but my money would be on Fitz being the starting QB, and hopefully they get ahead, and then Tua can come in and get a little bit more confidence back. Be interesting to see what they do in the long term, because they'll definitely need to get some reps under his belt and some playoff minutes.
So you think they're going to the playoffs, yeah?
Yeah.
Brasher, I know this is a week that has got you uniquely excited by the high quality of every game on the slate. So I think we might go to one of the most exciting games of the week. The Falcons host the Saints. Drew Brees probably won't be playing. Matt Ryan will be playing. Does he teach Taysom Hill a lesson, or do the Falcons regress again and choke at home?
No, I've gone on record as saying this is one of my favourite divisional matchups. This game always turns up something. It's always a football game, and that sounds a bit silly, but what I mean by that,
that sounds Fui-esque is what that sounds.
What I mean by that is they're normally close. There's good offense, and there's always good offense. There are defensive plays, and there's always seems to be twists and turns in these games. So I nearly always watch these games. I'm not a huge fan of watching Taysom Hill at quarterback, but I'll probably tolerate that to watch the game. Maybe I'll just put a little post-it note on the TV screen so I can't see him under centre. So look, it'll be an exciting game, and there'll be something that'll happen that'll make sure the Saints win in the last minute. I might, if Matt Ryan's having a COVID day, that might be the first player that gets put on the COVID list halfway through a game.
Fui, Falcons without Julio Jones. It's not really quite right, is it?
No, he's been there quite a while, and obviously he's a bit of a fixture there. But I think depending on what direction they go in the off season, they might just see it happen.
A bit like the Packers without Rodgers. Got to happen next year, though.
It'll happen one day, but it won't be next year.
Okay. The Matt Patricia-less Lions visit the Nagy House of Excellence. Blackie, who wins that one?
What a shit show that is. If DeAndre Swift's back, I'll back the Lions in.
You just beautifully described almost the entirety of the Week 13 schedule. The NFL deserves outstanding praise from every fan and every media organization for managing to arrange a slate of games that is as uniquely putrid across every single game as this. I know it's Week 13, but fuck me, give me one decent game to watch.
Washington 49ers.
Except they don't play each other.
Yes, they do.
Nope.
Who do we play?
The Bills.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's an even better game.
When's Ayuk coming back?
This week,
apparently. That is actually the brightest, for me, the genuinely interesting thing about this week. The 49ers get 3 players back who, Brash, I think you'd agree, are pretty important players. They could be a completely different team this week, even with Mullins at quarterback.
Yep, they will be, because we're now called the Phoenix 49ers, so we are a completely different team.
Very good, very good. You do have another game in your division that I suspect for such a shit show week you might cast your eye on before your game. And Brash, your game is Sunday Night Football, so don't get the time wrong and tune into the wrong game. But the afternoon game between the Rams and the Cardinals has some pretty significant implications for your division, yeah?
Absolutely. I think Seattle's pretty well got the division sewn up now.
They've been terrible.
I know, but they're still winning. And if they had lost, which if they had lost on the weekend, then there was every likelihood that the whole division could be opened up to all 4 teams to win it still, as silly as it sounds. And it could go down like last year to the last play of the game on who wins the NFC West, like it did last year. Cardinals are coming off the boil a little bit.
Kyler Murray getting found out?
No, I don't think so. He's actually, I've been a little bit surprised he's actually played a little bit like a quarterback. But I said the Cardinals always do something stupid, right? When they do the spectacular, but then stuff up the most fundamental stuff in a game. I think the Rams will bounce back and win this.
Which would be good for your hopes in the division, obviously.
That too.
Danny Dimes will not be playing, Blackie, so I know you won't be watching the game because your poster boy young quarterback won't be up there. But
he's actually been okay recently.
Well, for the last 2 weeks, yes. Colt McCoy going to lead the Giants over Russell Wilson?
Wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, it's a shame because, in all seriousness, thank you for biting on my opportunity to spice the game up. If Danny Dimes had been playing, I reckon this is a real danger game for Seattle.
They've been ordinary.
They were shit against Philadelphia. They were not at all impressive. Doug Peterson kicks two field goals. They lose that game.
One of my favourite things recently is Jamal Adams getting upset because people have been calling him Blitz Boy on.
Well, he's shit in coverage.
Yeah.
He might be all right in blitzing, but Jesus Christ, he's no good in coverage. Yet another Seahawks trade that will not go down as a brilliant trade. I'm not convinced by the Seahawks, and it isn't just the time of possession thing that we talked about a few weeks back when Blackie was still part of the podcast. It's deeper than that. Metcalf is what's saving them at the moment, and their defense. They were playing Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia fucking Eagles, and they gave up pass after pass, run after run.
I tell you what, one thing that hurt them was trying to go for it on 4th down, which I just didn't understand because you've got an offense that's struggling on the other side. Why do you feel the need to score 7 instead of 3?
Exactly. Get the field goal on the board, get off the field, let your defense do some work. It's bizarre. Just a bizarre game. And I'm not sure that Pete Carroll is the outstanding coach that everybody's in the media drums him up to be, because he's not righting the ship. It's getting worse every week. And a lot of it is not on Russell Wilson, obviously. Wilson's doing a brilliant job. Anyway.
I tell you what, I think Carlos Dunlap was an excellent pickup. But spending a 1st round pick on Jordan Brooke, less impressive.
And the Jamal Adams thing on top of that,
and Rashad Penny before that, they've done some dumb shit.
Yeah, and you just wonder how much of that is front office and how much of that, because of his venerated status, how much of that's Pete Carroll saying, I want X, and he just gets what he wants with nobody pushing back.
And the other thing is Pete Carroll's in that twilight of his career, right? So why not go all in and leave a mess for the next guy, a la Bill O'Brien?
Exactly.
Right.
Speaking of Bill O'Brien, Deshaun Watson hosts Philip Rivers. Philly quarterback whisperer Philip Rivers, Hall of Famer. I know you're a big, strong supporter of that argument. Is he going to teach Deshaun a lesson?
No, I think it's going to be the other way around, to be honest. As you alluded to in the previous segment, that Watson is playing well and he's getting his yards with not as many attempts, and I think if they can get some sort of a running game happening, which they have struggled with all year, they'd probably be a shoo-in, but because they probably won't, it'll be close.
Hang on, wait. One team will win and one team will lose, right?
I'm going to say the Texans will win.
Cool, thank you for that. Brash, why is it that with O'Brien out of the building, Deshaun Watson has suddenly been able to develop reliable connections with a whole bunch of receivers, not just Will Fuller? When O'Brien was in the building, Watson couldn't really connect very much with Hopkins gone. Is it just Romeo's a better coach?
No, it's simply a point of that people had stopped playing for O'Brien.
Blackie,
do you need more explanation than that?
No, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. I mean, the game I was actually just going to reflect on in that same, see if it's about people stopping playing for the coaches, was actually what I was just going to ask Blackie about, because he's already talked about the game, was Lions at Bears. Blackie, would it be interesting to see if, with Patricia gone, in much the same vein as Brash has just suggested, that the Lions and Stafford in particular suddenly turn it around because his wide receivers start playing properly again? I mean, Brash, does that pick your point up? them? Is it the same? Is it too much of a stretch to compare the Stafford and Watson? Because Stafford's looked shit a number of games this year, like as if he's got no wide receivers to really throw to, no connection. Throwing the ball behind, throwing the ball down. Different coach, different atmosphere. Do they maybe connect better?
100%. But I mean, Galladay's health will be a big factor, but
True.
I think they need to get Swift involved in the passing game because it's just going to open up so much more.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting that the absence of a coach who's not on the field, it's not like it's the wide receiver coach, it's not like it's the quarterback coach, it's just the head coach. It makes such a difference, just in some cases. Other cases, you sack the coach and it's same old shit, Other cases, you bring in Mike McCarthy and everything progresses badly. I just don't get it. It's like there's some kind of a special link between quarterbacks and obviously everybody knows that Julio Jones is going to star for any quarterback. But the thing for me that stood out about the Texans in the last couple of weeks is Watson's connecting with some pretty average wide receivers that are not physical specimens, and the Lions, they got a number of those kind of middling wide receivers that could bust out if there's a better connection with Stafford, because Stafford's a decent quarterback. He's got the talent, Anyway, something to watch. Patriots Chargers. Didn't we just have Patriots Chargers last week, or am I confusing the games?
It does feel like
that was a joke, guys.
Thank you.
If you had a choice between watching the Patriots and the Chargers and watching the Eagles and Fui's team, who would you watch? Blackie?
Oh, without a doubt, I want to watch Herbert. I can't watch the Eagles anymore. I can't do it. Life's too short.
I thought I was the only one that felt that way. Brash, you'll also be watching Herbert if someone forced you to pick between the two games?
No, I think there's a replay of. I think they're playing a binge of old Gilligan's Island reruns on Sunday morning on Channel 7. I think I'll be watching that.
Driving your golf cart up and down the hill, checking this.
Oh, mate, you should see this thing. Talk about blinged. I'm gonna go write a storyline for Foxtel. Bling my golf cart. You should see this thing, mate. It is. Oh.
All right. We've got a potentially Lamar Jackson-less Ravens hosting an Andy Dalton positive Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Who wins that one, Brash? Does Jerry Jones get a win?
Who they playing?
Raven in Baltimore. Jackson might still be on the COVID list.
Ravens coming off 5 days.
Yep. Potentially with 18 players on the COVID list, including Lamar Jackson.
Are you sure they'll play the game? Because it is the Ravens, right? There's a different set of rules for the Ravens as well.
They'll just give the Ravens the win, I think.
Yeah.
Jerry will be delighted by that.
I don't. Where's it at? Baltimore or Dallas?
Baltimore.
But Lamar Jackson hasn't got COVID. He's just on the COVID list, yeah?
No, he had COVID.
He had COVID. So he's off. So where is he now? Is he still in quarantine?
Yep.
Yeah, do you miss 2 weeks?
That's my understanding.
I think that... he hasn't been playing that well. The reason I'm stalling on this is he hasn't exactly been setting the house on fire, and the Ravens seem to be winning more like the Ravens usually win, which is with their defence.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know if you really need a Madden cover quarterback to beat the Dallas defence either these days. So
it's taken a while. It's taken a while, but you're getting there. You're getting my line of thinking. I like it.
This is a bit of a toss-up, actually. Ravens.
How can anyone back Andy Dalton to win again, Fui?
It's hard. I think after the Ravens' tough win against the Steelers this week, it's that puts them in good stead to really smash Dalton.
You understand that the Ravens haven't won this week yet, yes?
I'm pretending. Thanks.
Yeah.
Pretending.
If you think they're going to beat the Steelers without Lamar Jackson, you really are pretending. And we talked about, and I'll be honest, we talked about the Washington football team's defense and how excited I was by that. For me, the game of the week is actually the Steelers hosting Washington. Blackie, who wins that one? We see Chase Young break out beast mode again?
No, we don't. Nah, Steelers O-line's really, really good.
They are, aren't
too
they?
Many weapons. They've got Deontay Johnson, Juju, and Chase Claypool. Then on the defensive side, they bat deep at pretty much every level. So
let me posit you this, though. Chase Young gets through one. And we saw what he did to Joe Burrow. He gets through once and he hits Big Ben. And
am I talking to GG right now?
No, you're talking to PG.
Big Ben's got a
Chase,
bit more fat on him though. So
I was just going to say, somehow Chase Young manages to engage the force and find his way through the roles of chin fat, belly fat, leg fat, thigh fat, underarm. What do you call those things that the underarm wiggle? Anyway, you know what I mean? The chicken wings or whatever they are.
Bingo wings.
Yes, that's it. Bingo wings. He somehow gets through all those folds of fat, breaks a rib or fractures a thumb or a finger. Steelers are fucked. Yes or no, Blackie?
I think they're somewhat fraudulent as it is, but I think Washington are pretty patchy. Gibson's played well, but he's also loaded up against NFC East teams, so it's too hard to say. Terry McLaurin's an absolute gun, though. They've definitely got some pieces to build on. I think Riverboat Ron's been really good for them. They'll get a high draft pick this year. They'll potentially get Brash's man Wilson, and they'll go from there.
Fui, is there a chance? Can they eliminate the fat Ben and Big Ben Ben and somehow have Alex Smith drive them to a victory?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. All it takes is one play, and no one's perfect. But possibly after the Steelers' tough win against the Ravens in Week 12, maybe Big Ben won't play at all.
Brash, one play and a fat separator. Is that's really all that's needed here from the football team?
And another couple of chins on the football field. I'm been, I've gone a couple of times, risk of upsetting all our Steelers fans, particularly those long lifers like GG. I think and I borrow Blackie's term with total reverence here. I think they're fraudulent as well. I don't think they've beaten anybody that of any standing to this point in time in the season, and I don't think when they have played teams who are good, I don't think those teams actually were playing that particularly well when they played the Steelers either. So I'm not rubbishing the Steelers. They've clearly had great teams over the years that we've been following them, but I just don't see any of these marquee matchups on their schedule where people are getting all excited because the Steelers are romping and they're coming up against a team who's also romping. I've got a feeling they could be, they might get to the playoffs and be the number one seed and have their bye and then be out of the playoffs next week. At the moment,
my prediction,
I'm not rating them
because nobody's asked me, of course. But my prediction: Redskins win this one. Oh, sorry, Washington football team win this one in true old school Washington style, playing like that other team name that we're not allowed to mention anymore. Real solid defensive football and competent but not Mahomes level quarterback play from Alex Smith. They go on to win the 8th best division in football and they get a win in the playoffs. Conversely, the Steelers fall apart. I'm not saying they're somewhat fraudulent. GG, I'm saying they're fully fraudulent.
Okay.
There it is.
Let's move along.
We're not going to talk much about the Eagles-Packers game. In fact, we're not going to talk about it at all, except Aussie Dude sent through a trivia question.
About Wentz's contract?
No. This is a trivia question that Aussie Dude sent through.
Oh.
And we'll give it to old mate Fui, who can and and say yeah and nah a bit and type away. While he's madly typing away before I've even said the question. The question is, which first round, not including Pro Bowls, which is the first round wide receiver that Rodgers has thrown a pass to?
Oh, if I do recall correctly, I think it was Corin Robinson way back in 2012 or 2014, something like that.
Ding, 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 ding. Very good. The fact that you've had 24 hours to research that question, given Aussie Dude posted it in the open thread, instead of just sending it to me.
What? And that would be so Philly, yeah, to go Google the answer when Aussie Dude wrote the answer in the question. I knew that one.
Can I say
I knew what question you were going to ask for. You asked it.
I would just say the Eagles are our bogey team, and I am not confident.
You're never confident.
We have 2 games left because we're not talking about the Eagles-Packers. Bills at 49ers. Nick Mullen, Josh Allen. What do you think? Blackie, who's going to win this one?
I'm going to go 49ers.
You got some pretty impressive talent coming back if you're a 49ers fan, Fui. You're going to go all in with your bet?
Well, I'm going in with what I was thinking of Shanahan, so I think quite possibly they might pull it off as well.
Does it make a difference having the players back, or is it more
Is it too late to change what I think?
those AA tips?
It makes a hell of a difference having the players back. So,
But which players am I talking about specifically?
That is the analysis that we come here for, isn't it? It makes a big difference having your players back, especially if they're good.
And look, I can't. I'm sorry, Brash. I'm not going to throw to you because I can't let that great, magnificent piece of Fui insight go and not use it as the segue to throw to the other game that's going to be so much better because the players are back. The Broncos Chiefs. Blackie, you're going to have quarterback. It might be Brett Rippon, but you're going to have a quarterback.
That's fine.
You're going to win.
You wouldn't have thought so, would you?
Oh, so it's not going to be better just because you've got the players back. Okay.
It'll be better. Will it be good? No, it won't. It'll be a tea-towel game involving my own team.
All right, Brash, what are you going to do? You going to watch the Bills 49ers after putting yourself through Broncos Chiefs or just the Bills 49ers?
Yeah, I've got a flex meeting with a customer from 12:15 to 3:30, but that meeting could be ending early at about 12:30.
Fui, are you Brash's customer?
Could be.
I can't say.
I could be shopping in Essendon for a steering wheel for my car.
All right, two questions to wrap it up in terms of the game, only because we don't have Tom Brady to talk about this week because he's on bye week. It's really, week 13 is a really hard week to get excited about, but it follows a week of perhaps the worst quarterback play we've seen this year from some of the worst quarterbacks, almost guys pulled off the street in some cases. Will week 13 be better in terms of quarterback play than week 12? Blackie?
You'd bloody well hope so. Otherwise, we're in a lot of trouble. Although, actually, it doesn't. I don't care if it is or isn't, because can't get worse from my perspective. Everyone else may as well come down to our level.
Fui, if 2020's taught you nothing else, it is that everything can always get worse. True?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that vein, are we going to see worse quarterback play or better quarterback play?
I think it's quite a possibility. The only team there where the quarterback will improve is Denver. In terms of the quality of the starter. So theoretically, it should get better, but there's probably a few quarterbacks that could still take a bit of a downward turn. And of course, we've got the Cowboys playing. So, do
you ever actually get off the fence, or is it like wearing like a groove in it, like Homer's?
Surely that was 80%. It's going to not improve.
That was 80%.
29 quarterbacks on rosters of day one are no longer available to the season. 29. So you're on average, basically across the league playing your second. On average, you're at second stringer across the league.
And what makes that really more interesting as a stat is the game on the weekend that the Eagles were in featured the first snap of the entire year, the first offensive snap where Mr. Wentz was off the field for the Eagles. So up until that snap, the Eagles were the only team in the league that had played one quarterback in every single offensive snap. Aren't they getting outstanding value for their play?
The NFL should have just had a quarterback dugout, right? A break glass thing, right? You haven't got a quarterback here. Let me send you one out of our dugout that's COVID free.
That's Colin Kaepernick, isn't it?
That is actually one of the most insightful, brilliant statements I've ever heard. That he still can't get a gig.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Surely they could have rolled him out, run that play that Denver ran.
Yeah, and there were rumours that Denver was going to sign him not long ago too.
They should have. Surely enough water has passed under the bridge on that one. It's just an injustice what's happened to him.
Look, to play devil's advocate, part of me thinks maybe he doesn't want to be because there was the whole kerfuffle with his tryout. I don't know. It's hard to say. I got the impression from that he was happy with his night contract and he's being a superstar. Yeah. To be honest,
they say that sometimes you're a better hero when you're a martyr, and maybe he is a more powerful figure while he's still ostracised and more effective with what he's caused by being blackballed rather than being allowed back in.
I think he's actually remembered as a better player than he actually was as well. That's just my 2 cents.
And you know my view. He was incredibly frustrating in the season after the Super Bowl. I thought he was ineffective as a quarterback once he got worked out, and we've seen a little bit of that happen with Lamar Jackson this year, to be frank. But I just can't believe with that number of quarterbacks going down and the crap that some of these teams are rolling out. And I'm not talking the Denver situation, which is an outrider, but what some of the other teams are rolling out as their starting quarterback. What do you expect? We're across the league. We're basically on average at second stringers starting. You know, Dallas has gone through 3. Denver
Didn't they go through 4 if you include Gucci DiNucci and
probably 4?
Gilbert Grape?
Probably 4. The number of times that the Jets change probably counts about 8. Giants are on their second stringer. Dallas, we said, is on 4. Washington's basically is on their third. Playing a guy that didn't have a leg a year ago. That's how bad their drafted quarterbacks are, right?
Jaguars have played 3.
Look at the teams that are going really well. They've been pretty well stable with the exception of the Eagles. Yeah, look.
It's amazing that, isn't it?
Isn't it funny about how that happens? Bears have gone through a couple. There's no excuse for the Vikings or in that regard, Falcons.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a betting person, here's my tip for you. Take the house and load it up on the Jet.
They can afford to win one game, can't they?
Abso-freaking-lutely, but it's deeper than that. Vegas has lost its last 2 games, gave up 35 points and 43 points. The Raiders have lost the last 6 games played in New Jersey. The last time they beat the Jets was 1996. That's beat them in New Jersey. So if you're looking for a bit of an upset, just something to think about. I'm almost channeling GG.
But it's the Jets.
But it's the Raiders. Did you see Derek Carr? Or like me, did you think that was David Carr?
0 points for the Rottens.
That's what I'm worried about, yes.
We just had 0 points this week for you.
Yeah, I know. He killed me in the buffle.
He definitely gagged.
All right,
dudes.
Well, shout out to Brash's Golf Cart. Blackie, welcome back. I'm glad you weren't turned into Thanksgiving dinner. Hope everything's all right with the Worcester.
Yep.
Did you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to add? Any wild betting tips you wanted to share?
No, how could I possibly trump yours?
Put the house on the Jet.
The Jets.
Well, let's face it, there's not going to be any passengers in a Jet at this time.
Start? How many points start the Jets getting?
Ooh, that's a good question, actually.
Well, I mean, you're basing this basically on the premise that Gase isn't that bad, which I just wholeheartedly disagree with.
You've completely missed the point. I'm basing it on the fact that Mark Davis attracts bad luck in certain games, and John Gruden's not a fabulous coach, and Derek Carr is a pretty shit quarterback.
Mark Davis wasn't. None of those 3 were there during most of that reign. Since when did you say? 1994. 96. So for probably 20 years, the first 20 years that time, those 3 weren't there.
Exactly. It's there.
So you can't blame those 3 for that streak.
No, but I can say that they're most likely to carry it on. Anyway,
I want to know what the point spread is.
7.5.
Oh, that's good enough to put a lazy 50 on.
If it's going to happen, there's not many games left in New Jersey, and they ain't going to do it on the road. The Jets are not going to win on the road. No chance, unless they somehow engineer a redesign of the schedule so that they visit Philadelphia.
What's the second worst record in the league at the moment?
Jaguars.
Jaguars with 1 win.
Which was in week 1.
1, yeah.
Fuck, they must be lamenting doing that.
They looked all right.
They did. They beat the Colts, didn't they? Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Brash. I mean, if they could somehow transfer to the 8th best division in football and get 2 more wins, they'd be in the playoffs nearly.
Mate, all the teams vying for the playoffs, for the wild card spot, who don't have a wild card spot, right? So they're not in a wild card position at the moment, who are vying for a wild card position, all have better records than the leader of the NFC East. So they don't even qualify for a wild card spot.
I've just remembered, I did have one legitimate question, which I wouldn't mind views on. With the Will Fuller outage, for want of a better word, who becomes the key wide receiver for the Texans?
Cool.
Is he up to it?
He's been pretty good since Bob left.
Yeah.
They don't
You've
have
got no
much else.
choice. Well,
though.
there's no choice, is there? It's not like they go to the shop and go buy another one for next
They don't have a
week.
tight end. They don't have a tight end. Who else they got?
Well, Randall Cobb.
Yeah, so.
Who was good 20 years ago, sometime.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for
Right,
a wonderful podcast. Talk to you later
Cheers,
on.
guys. Catch
All right,
up.
guys.
you.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Take care.
You too. See ya.